episode 5 of the Talking Sports podcast. I'm Peter DiBiasi alongside Eddie Amadeo. Before we dive in to what we have planned for today, I just want to have a nice quick shout out. Again, thank you, Trevor Zegers, for coming on the show last time. That was episode number 4. That video hit over 2,000 views. We did not expect that, and we really appreciate it. We hope we have Trevor on again. But moving forward, today we have an NFL mock draft video. So you know how this upcoming Thursday the NFL draft is. First round, and then Friday the second and third round, and then it concludes the rest of the rounds on Saturday. So me and Eddie decided to do our own first round NFL mock draft to see how we do in our picks. So before we dive in, Eddie wants to say a quick word.
Okay, so how this is going to work is we're going to do a little contest, and now we're going to do a follow-up video after the mock draft to see who won the contest. So how this works is if you get the team right and the slot position right, you get 2 points. But if you just get the player right, you get 1 point. And if you get the pick right, okay, you also get 1 point. So how that works is, say I have the Saints at like 25 drafting Jordan Love. Say the Saints trade up to 18 and draft Jordan Love. That would be 1 point because you didn't get the slot right, but you got the team right. And vice versa. Say Jordan Love gets drafted, due to a trade, he gets drafted at 25 by, I don't know, the Buccaneers, just say, hypothetically. Now, say I had him going to a different team at 25, but since you got the slot right as well, you get 1 point. So that's how that's going to work. And, may the best man win, should I say. The NFL draft is probably one of my favorite times in the year for football, probably next to the Super Bowl. I always remember myself as a kid propping up in front of the TV set, with my mock drafts. I mean, I got mock drafts on my phone from years ago, guys who were even retired. So this is definitely one of my favorite times of the year. And I can't wait to get right into this and we'll see how it goes. All right, Peter, what do you got at number 1?
Okay. At number 1, Cincinnati Bengals are selecting. I do not expect them to trade out. I don't expect anybody to trade in. I have them taking quarterback from LSU, Joe Burrow. They need a franchise quarterback. They still have Andy Dalton on their roster. I believe he'll be their backup, or they're looking to trade him as this all-season prolongs until training camp when another quarterback gets injured. He's the clear-cut number 1 quarterback in this draft. I have him number 1 on my big board, so I believe that Joe Burrow will be the number 1 pick in the draft, and the Bengals get their franchise signal call, which they've been looking for the last couple of years. So Joe Burrow, number 1 to the Bengals.
Yep, I get the same thing, Peter. I think everybody's expecting Joe Burrow to go number 1 to the Bengals. If it doesn't happen, I think everybody's going to be very surprised. But I think this is an obvious one. Bengals, one of the worst teams in the league last year, and they definitely need this quarterback. Whether or not he's going to start week 1, that's another question. But they got Andy Dalton in there to possibly, pass the torch. So definitely Joe Burrow, I think, is going to be the number 1 pick.
Okay. Number 2, Washington Redskins. I have them taking Chase Young, defensive end out of Ohio State. Chase Young is the number 1 overall player in this draft. In my opinion, the Redskins do have Dwayne Haskins. They could have selected a quarterback or they could have traded out. But I have them taking the best overall player, Chase Young, to give them an anchor on that defense, which is already a pretty good defense. And so they're going to get an anchor on the defense and defensive end, Chase Young. Yeah,
the talent that I have Chase Young as well at number 2. The amount of talent that he has, you cannot not take him, especially since the Redskins do have Dwayne Haskins, who is a young quarterback and still has a lot to prove. This is definitely the right pick for the Washington Redskins to just as Peter said, to really put a booster into a defense that's already looking pretty good.
Number 3, the Detroit Lions. I have them taking cornerback from Ohio State, Jeffrey Okudah. Jeffrey Okudah, they traded Darius Slay away. They could take a quarterback here. I don't think they're going to do it. They had Matthew Stafford. So I have them taking the second best available player in this draft, cornerback Ohio State, filling a need that they traded away for Darius Slay. So Jeffrey Okudah going number 3 to the Detroit Lions.
Yep, I got the same pick, Peter, which is kind of funny. But, people thought they might take a quarterback, but that's unlikely going to happen given the fact they have Matthew Stafford, and I think they're going to ride him out for a little bit. They definitely need to boost up that secondary, and I think Jeff is the perfect pick to do this for the Detroit Lions.
Number 4, New York Giants, taking Isaiah Simmons, linebacker out of Clemson. I complimented this pick a little. I thought they might go offensive lineman, might go linebacker, maybe defensive tackle, any of those 3 options. I've seen a lot of mock drafts going offensive lineman, but I believe that they need an anchor at linebacker, and Isaiah Simmons can play multiple positions. He can play middle, outside linebacker. He can also rush the passer, and he can be a hybrid big safety if you really needed him. So Isaiah Simmons is an ultra-talented linebacker out of Clemson. I have him, the Giants, number 4 to him.
Okay, so number 4, I'm going to disagree with you, Peter. I really think that the New York Giants need an offensive lineman to protect their young and up-and-coming quarterback, Daniel Jones. That's why I have Jedrick Willis in at number 4. Great offensive lineman. And there's a couple other players that they could choose instead, but I think he's the player that they're looking at right now, and they definitely need somebody on that offensive line. With all due respect, Peter, I don't really see the need to draft a defensive player for the Giants. They really need to protect their young quarterback.
Awesome. I love when we disagree. It's more fun. If we all have the same picks, then nobody – it's not fun. Okay, number 5. This one, the draft starts getting really interesting.
Oh, yeah.
Miami Dolphins have been they're going to take a quarterback. Is it Tua? Is it Justin Herbert? I've read both sides. Tua's injury history, it's a crapshoot. They're taking Justin Herbert, quarterback out of Oregon. I just believe that Tua's injury history is going to scare them off a little. The fan base might be not as happy because it's not as a risky pick, but they get the sure big arm quarterback out of Justin Herbert, who reminds me a lot of the Buffalo Bills' Josh Allen. So Justin Herbert, quarterback out of Oregon, going number 5 to the Miami Dolphins.
Absolutely, I agree with you there. Justin Herbert all the way. I don't think that this Dolphins organization is looking for like a progressive quarterback like Tua, especially with his past with injuries. I think Herbert is definitely the top option to the Dolphins. I think they're going to choose him because, as I said, I think he would fit much better in that system. And that is a good point which you made. He is very similar in his playing style to Josh Allen, of course, the quarterback from the Bills. So I think Justin Herbert is the best option right now for the Miami Dolphins.
Number 6, the Los Angeles Chargers. I believe they will be taking another quarterback, and Tua fell right in their lap. They didn't have to move at all. They would have took Justin Herbert if it was the pick, vice versa, if the Dolphins took Tua. But the Chargers will take in Tua, quarterback out of Alabama. Even though he has an injury history, he can sit behind Tyrod Taylor for 1 year, get fully healthy, and the Los Angeles Chargers have a future superstar falling in their lap at number 6.
Okay, so number 6, I also have the Chargers picking Tua. However, I do believe that the Chargers do want Justin Herbert. Say the Dolphins do end up picking Tua, they're definitely going to pick Herbert because I think that Herbert will fit better in their system as well. I really don't think Tua is going to be – it's going to be a bit of an adjustment for the Los Angeles Chargers. They're definitely going to need to start Taylor in that first season for a good chunk of games, if not the entire season, so that they can really get used to Tua's style of play. So I do think they're going to pick in Tua, but he cannot fit in that system right away. There does need to be a lot of coaching and a lot of adjustment for the Chargers to fit Tua into their system.
Number 7, the Carolina Panthers, they're going to take Derek Brown, defensive tackle out of Auburn. They don't need a quarterback. They got Teddy Bridgewater. They could look for an offensive playmaker, but I believe they take one of the best defensive players in this draft, the second best defensive lineman in this draft, Derek Brown, D-tackle at Auburn, will be a future piece for them.
Yeah, I agree with you there, Peter. Definitely Derek Brown, probably, one of the best linemen in the draft. And given the Panthers could need that boost on their defensive line. So I think that's an easy pick there. I'd be very surprised if he doesn't end up going to the Panthers. As you said, they do have Teddy Bridgewater as their quarterback, so I don't think they're shopping around there. But definitely I think Derek Brown is the best fit for their team early in this draft.
At number 8, Arizona Cardinals with their young quarterback, Kyler Murray. They need to protect him. Eddie had this player going number 4 in the draft to the Giants. I have him falling a little down to number 8, Jedrick Willis, offensive tackle out of Alabama. He's the number 1 offensive lineman, in my opinion, in this draft, and I believe they need to protect their young quarterback, Kyler Murray.
Yeah, I got similar school of thought, different player, of course. I got Tristan Wirfs in at number 8 for the Cardinals. They do need to protect, their young quarterback, and I think just pretty much for the same reasons that you said. But I know we kind of agree here, but we disagree on the player. But definitely they're going to go with an offensive lineman. I personally think it's going to be Tristan Wirfs, though.
Number 9, the Jacksonville Jaguars. I went back and forth on this pick. Could they take a defensive player, offensive lineman, or another playmaker? I settled for a defensive tackle, Javon Kinlaw out of South Carolina. I believe he's going to be rising up the mock drafts and the draft board. He's an ultra-talented player. And the Jaguars, instead of taking a receiver, they take a stud defensive lineman and bolster that weak defense, which used to be really good, is now more of a weak defense. So they take Javon Kinlaw, D-tackle out of South Carolina.
All right, well, I'm going to disagree with you there, Peter. I really think that the Jaguars need to boost their secondary. They're going to go with cornerback C.J. Henderson, one of the top talents and one of the people in this draft with the most athleticism. And I really think that, they're looking to boost up their secondary, as I said. I don't think they're going to go too much with the Lions and the linebacker, but C.J. Henderson, I think, is going to be the pick for the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Number 10, Cleveland Browns. Same school of thought when I had with the Cardinals. Baker Mayfield, a young quarterback, finishing 2 years. They already have their weapons. They have their running back. They have a good defense. They need more protection on the O-line. That really struggled last year. They're going to take Tristan Wirfs, offensive tackle out of Iowa, to build up that offensive line.
Yeah, I got the same school of thought. Of course, I had Wirfs going at 8 to the Cardinals. I got McKee Becton going to the Browns. Of course, an offensive lineman. Like I said, just like you said, and like I've said in the past, Baker Mayfield being a young quarterback, and of course he struggled last year. He needs more protection, especially he's been scrambling around in the pocket a lot more. He needs that big guy to give him the coverage so that he can get it out to those receivers. So definitely, I think a good skilled offensive lineman in Becton is going to help this team do what they need to do. So that's our top 10. We went a little bit in depth there into those players. Now, for the sake of time, so we don't bore you guys going through all 32 picks, we're just going to go through and list who we have for the rest of the positions. And then what we're going to do is once we get to the Patriots, since, of course, I'm a Pats fan, I'm going to go a little bit in depth on that since we have a lot of viewers from the New England and greater New England area who are Pats fans. And we would do the same thing for the Bills for Peter if they did have a pick, but, of course, they don't. So, Peter, why don't you go ahead number 11.
Number 11, Jets need a playmaker. They're taking CeeDee Lamb, wide receiver out of Oklahoma, the first receiver off the board in my mock draft.
I agree. Same thing with me. CeeDee Lamb, definitely need that wide receiver. Definitely going to help Sam Darnold if they get him. Number 12.
Las Vegas Raiders have the same school of thought as the Jets. They need another offensive playmaker. They do have 2 first-round picks. They take Jerry Jeudy, wide receiver out of Alabama, number 2 receiver on my board.
I agree. Number 2 receiver on my board as well, Jerry Jeudy. I think the Raiders do have a close eye on him, so that's my opinion on that. Number 13.
San Francisco 49ers. They traded up for this pick to take from the Colts. They take cornerback C.J. Henderson out of Florida. They could use a receiver, but they do have another pick later in the draft. So Eddie had him a little higher at number 9, but I have C.J. Henderson going number 13.
You're going to see the 3rd wide receiver picked in a row, in my opinion. Henry Ruggs, the 3rd. Definitely need another guy out there for Jimmy G. So I think they're going to go with the receiver here, Peter.
14, Tampa Bay Buccaneers need to protect Tom Brady. Already have great receivers. They take Mekhi Becton, offensive tackle out of Louisville.
I got similar school of thought. Andrew Thomas, offensive lineman. They need to protect Tom Brady, and that's the main thing that they're going to do this year.
The Denver Broncos take the 3rd receiver on the board, Henry Ruggs, the 3rd wide receiver out of Alabama. Get a nice playmaker for the young quarterback, Drew Lock.
I'm going to disagree. I think they're going to booster their linebacker squad. They're going to go with Isaiah Simmons, one of the top guys in this draft at that position.
Oh, you had Isaiah Simmons falling down the draft a little more. I like that, Ed. Number 16, Atlanta Falcons take defensive end Calavan. I'm sorry, I pronounced your name wrong. Chasen, defensive end out of LSU. Really a stud defensive end, and the Falcons losing Vic Beasley. Don't need any receivers. Take a nice defensive player.
I got Jalen Johnson out of Utah. Really boost up that secondary. I think that's one of the main things that the Falcons got to deal with, especially coming off, definitely a rough season when it comes to, defensive points. So they're going to go with Jalen Johnson.
Number 17, Dallas Cowboys. They miss out on chasing the defensive end out of LSU, but they get a nice ultra hybrid safety, Xavier McKinney out of Alabama.
I have Chasen actually going to the Dallas Cowboys. They're going to need that, big linebacker, somebody who can make those plays, and I think Chasen is the player for them. He will fall to the Cowboys.
18, the Miami Dolphins took their franchise quarterback in Justin Herbert. Now it's time to protect him. Taking Andrew Thomas, offensive tackle out of Georgia, get a nice offensive lineman for their young quarterback.
I got the same school of thought as you do, Peter, except I got an offensive lineman out of Houston, Joshua Jones.
19, Las Vegas Raiders took a receiver, Jerry Jeudy, with their 12th overall pick. Time for them to take a nice secondary player. They have Jeff Gladday, cornerback out of TCU.
I got the same exact thought, Peter. Jeff Gladday definitely, as I said before, they got their receiver, but now they need that player in the secondary, and I think he's the one to do it.
At number 20, the Jacksonville Jaguars did take a defensive tackle in my mock draft out of South Carolina. Did they go receiver in this pick? I don't think they do. They go Christian Fulton, corner out of LSU, take 2 defensive players in the first round, bolster that a weak defense to a really good defense, take 2 future cornerstones on defense.
I agree with Peter. They really have to lift that struggling secondary, except I have them going with Trevon Diggs, cornerback out of Alabama.
Number 21, Philadelphia Eagles had a struggle last year with receivers. Justin Jefferson, wide receiver at LSU, falls right in their lap, and they're jumping for joy as this awesome receiver who I think is going to be a really good receiver falls in their lap at number 21.
I agree, but I got Laviska Shenault Jr. Definitely they need a wide receiver, as I agree. Of course, some of the other guys have been chosen earlier, but fourth receiver chosen in the draft is going to be Laviska Shenault Jr. to the Philadelphia Eagles.
Number 22, this is where the Bills would have been picking, but they made the trade for Stephon Diggs, which I totally agree with. So the Vikings need another receiver. They take speedster Denzel Mims, wide receiver out of Baylor, to replace Stephon Diggs.
I think that the Vikings are going to go with a running back. We talked about this before. Peter and I have these long conversations before we actually shoot. And one of the things that Peter was telling me is he thinks that running backs aren't good choices in the first round. But I think that the Minnesota Vikings really want to choose this player before he goes, which he definitely will early on in the second round if they pass him off. I think they're going to go with DeAndre Swift, running back out of Georgia. Okay,
now we're at Eddie's team. So I'll give my pick, and then Eddie will go a little more detail because this is his team. So number 23, the New England Patriots. They could have went quarterback here. They could go receiver. I don't have them going either of those positions. I have him Yetur Matos. Sorry, I butchered that name. Defensive end out of Penn State. They lose Jamie Collins, Kyle Van Noy. Time to add another defensive piece. So they take Yetur Matos, defensive end out of Penn State.
So to go a little bit in depth about this, since this is my team, the Patriots are probably one of the most unpredictable teams in the draft. Year after year, they surprise people with their first-round draft picks and what they do to trade. People say they choose some players too early, and Bill Belichick has got a mind of his own. And like I've said before, Bill Belichick really capitalizes later on in the draft. Those sixth-round picks, those seventh-round picks, the undrafted free agents, okay? So a coach like Bill Belichick, he's really not putting too much stake into the first round. He has a couple times really gone for the players. I think the last time that Bill Belichick's really made a really bold move in the draft, I'd probably say either Jimmy Garoppolo in the second round or back in 2010 when they drafted Rob Gronkowski in the first round. And I think we're going to see a very similar thing going on here. One of the big components that the Patriots missed in the offense this year was having a big tight end. One of the most, I would say, advantages to having Rob Gronkowski on the team was not because he was a great catcher in the red zone, not because he was a good deep ball threat, but due to the fact that he drew coverage. Gronkowski drew so much coverage from the other team, so Brady was able to get it out to some of these, smaller slot receivers, if you're going back, like Wes Welker, Julian Edelman, players like that. And that's one thing that they really missed. They don't have any good depth at the tight end squad, so I really think they're going to go with the tight end, and I have him going with, I did a little bit of research on him, I think it's pronounced Cole Kmet, definitely the top tight end in this draft, and I think this is the player they really need, especially since they don't have Tom Brady anymore, and they need, I'd say a big guy to draw coverage so that players like Edelman can get the ball, and he's really going to help out Jarrett Stidham as well. I mean, granted, it would be nice if he can catch some passes too, yes, but the main thing is that we need a big tight end or a big receiver, but I thought that's going to happen. I think they're going to go with the tight end because Patriots are used to having Gronkowski on their team, and it's kind of warmed up to that at that point. So they're going to go with the tight end to draw some coverage. So that's going to be easier for their new quarterback, Jarrett Stidham, to get it out to some of the other guys. Because I think if they don't get a tight end or if they don't get a big receiver, it's going to be really, really difficult, for Jarrett Stidham to adjust to this offense. That's just my opinion. So that's why I think that the Patriots are going to go with the tight end in the draft in the first round. Last time they did this, of course, was in 2010. They chose Rob Gronkowski, and, of course, later on they went with Aaron Hernandez as well. So I think there's going to be big moves made in the draft for the Patriots this year. And I think, as usual, Bill Belichick's going to try to capitalize in those later rounds, the sixth round, the seventh round, the undrafted. But I think this first-round pick is really key for the Pats to put a boost in their offense. And if not a tight end, go with the lineman. But I really think that they need – I'm repeating myself, but I really think that they need that big guy to draw some coverage. So Stidham can dish it out to Edelman, dish it out to Mohamed Sanu, get it out to some of the smaller guys who are now open. Because Julian Edelman last season was double covered every time because he was the number one receiver on the team. And you cannot have – this is very important – you cannot have a receiver that small being your number one guy and getting double covered because he's going to get banged up and it's going to be really tough to get the ball to him. So they need that big guy, and I think Cole is the player to do this.
Okay. I'm going to disagree with you. I think you could probably take him more in the second round because I don't think any of these tight ends are really first-round worthy, but that's why it's my mock draft.
But that's why it's the Patriots. They always choose – if you look at the past, they've always chosen people a little bit early sometimes. If you look at Jamie Collins in the second round, he was predicted to go in the sixth round when he was drafted. I believe Chandler Jones as well, when they chose him in the first round, he was predicted to go in the second round, even Dante Hightower. But I think Hightower was projected to go a little bit earlier. But the Patriots always hop on somebody. Or if the Patriots really want somebody, they're going to hop on them early. And that's my opinion on that.
I totally see your mindset. I just don't think that a tight end in the first round is just a valuable pick in the sense that, like, I don't think I think actually I have Cole Kmet as my number 2 tight end, but agree to disagree. So number 24, the New Orleans Saints take their future quarterback, Jordan Love, out of Utah State. He'll develop behind Drew Brees for the next 1 or 2 years and then take over the reins.
All right, so I'm going to disagree with you there, Peter. I definitely see them holding on to Drew Brees for a little bit longer. Given what Tom Brady's doing, I think Sean Payton's thinking, oh, maybe I can carry out Drew Brees a little longer. Because I think if they draft Jordan Love now, Jordan Love's going to end up leaving the Saints in 2-3 years when Drew Brees stays in the team. I say they're going to go with Patrick Queen from LSU. He's a linebacker, really booster up that defense for the New Orleans Saints.
Number 25, the Minnesota Vikings took 22 Denzel Mims, receiver from Baylor. They're going to be taking offensive tackle Josh Jones out of Houston.
I say they're going with A.J. Terrell, hold on one sec. A.J. Terrell, a cornerback out of Clemson, really booster up that secondary. This point in the later rounds, I don't think that since the Vikings already chose, I don't think they're going with somebody really specific here.
26, the Miami Dolphins took their future offensive tackle, future quarterback. Now it's time to take a future running back. DeAndre Swift, running back out of Georgia. I do not agree with this pick, but I believe that this is what will happen, and he'll be the only running back going in the first round. So DeAndre Swift, 26 to the Dolphins.
Now, since I think Swift's going to go a little bit earlier, I think they're going to end up going with Jonathan Taylor, running back out of Wisconsin. They definitely need somebody in that backfield.
27, Seattle Seahawks take defensive end A.J. Espenza out of Iowa. Could use a nice defensive end pass rusher. David Clowney is still a free agent, so we don't know what's going to happen there, but they take a nice defensive end out of Iowa.
So I'm going with the lineman too, Javon Kinlaw out of South Carolina. Same school thought as Peter.
I had Javon Kinlaw going number 9, so I like how we're really far off on that. That's
the thing though. Like every year, the draft is so unpredictable, and that's some of the reasons why I've loved it. I've had so many mock drafts where I've gotten probably only 2 or 3 picks right.
Yeah.
This is why I love the draft because players fall. I mean, look back in the Aaron Rodgers days. He fell 20. Peter and I kind of talked about this earlier, but that's why I love the draft. It's so unpredictable. It's not like the NHL draft. It's not like the NBA draft where it's a little bit more black and white. The NFL draft is so unpredictable. There's a lot of drama. There's a lot of things that happen. I mean, one of my favorite draft moments of all time. Of course, I wasn't paying attention at this point, but when the Vikings 2 years in a row in the NFL draft, and that's one of the reasons why it's my favorite time of year.
Okay, number 28. Baltimore Ravens take linebacker out of Oklahoma, Kenneth Murray. They could go receiver here, but I feel they're going to go another defensive player, and they take linebacker Kenneth Murray out of Oklahoma.
All right, so I think they're going to go with a linebacker, Zach Bond out of Wisconsin. Get someone good back there, someone big, really booster up that already decent Baltimore Ravens defense.
29, the Tennessee Titans take cornerback A.J. Terrell out of Clemson. He's my 5th corner on my board, so I believe he's going to be a good anchor in that secondary for years to come.
I got a lot of receivers going in this draft, Peter. I think T. Higgins is going to go to the Tennessee Titans. I think this is my 5th receiver already in the draft. A lot of teams needed another, big guy on the outside, especially with, I don't want to say Ryan Tannehill's a mediocre quarterback, but yeah, you know what? He's a mediocre quarterback. So you definitely need somebody good there. Probably, I wouldn't say, put too much work on it. Don't really start him right away.
Mm-hmm.
Work him into that system a little bit. I think he can be successful.
Last couple picks we got here. Green Bay Packers linebacker Patrick Queen out of LSU. They could go receiver here, but I feel like this receiver class is so super deep. They could take one in the second round. So they go a nice linebacker out of LSU.
I think they're going to go with a lineman here. I think they're really going to start to protect this aging Aaron Rodgers. In fact, some people thought that if Jordan Love slides, he's going to end up going to the Packers. Of course, I disagree with that. I think they're going to get a lineman to protect an aging Aaron Rodgers, as I said before. And Cesar Ruiz out of Michigan, I think, is the guy to do that at this point in the draft.
Number 31, San Francisco 49ers. At number 13, they took a corner instead of taking a receiver. This time they take a corner. Jalen Reagor, speedster out of TCU. He's going to be able to take the top off the defense. Can play in the outside, can play in the inside. So he's going to be a really fast receiver they can use in many, many different ways. So I have taken the 49ers, taking Jalen Reagor, wide receiver out of TCU.
All right, I got a bold statement here, Peter. I think the 49ers are going to choose another receiver. Jimmy Garoppolo, I don't want to say he struggled, but he definitely didn't dish out those bombs like people thought he would. All right. Of course, he had a good backfield and he had a good coaching squad. And was he a good quarterback? Yes. Did he do his job? Yes. But I think they're hoping that Jimmy Garoppolo can be that quarterback. I don't want to say like Tom Brady, but yeah, like Tom Brady, who can dish that ball out. And he really needs helpful receivers to do this. They're going to go 2 wide receivers in round 1. I do see a possibility of them trading one of their picks, whether it's 31 or whether it's 13. But say they both keep their slots there, I see him going with Justin Jefferson. Okay.
I agree.
I think he's the 4th or 5th receiver. He's out of LSU, and I think he's got a lot of skill.
I like your mind of thought. I actually do think the 49ers might trade back that out of 31. I think they'll use their 13th overall pick because that's a good pick. But that 31 slot, I feel like they could get more capital and they could take another receiver because it's such a deep class. But, yeah, I agree with you taking a receiver, and I agree with you that they might trade out. So, final pick in the first round of the draft, the defending Super Bowl champions on Kansas City Chiefs take Austin Jackson, offensive tackle out of USC. They could use more help around Mahomes. Never hurts to be able to protect the number 1 quarterback in the NFL, which he is. So they take a nice offensive lineman, Austin Jackson, out of USC to conclude my first-round NFL mock draft.
So to the reigning Super Bowl champions, I got Bryce Hall, a cornerback out of Virginia. Like many other teams in this first round, they're going to try to bootstrap that secondary a little bit. I don't think the Chiefs are putting too much stake into this draft. And I think they're going to go with the best guy that they can get. And I think at this point in the draft, it's going to be Bryce Hall. That's one thing about some teams. Some teams spend so much time, so much money on scouts and different things like that to try to really think, to try to think it out to choose the right guy who they think is going to fit in their squad. Some other teams, they just choose whoever the next good guy, is in the rankings. And I think that's what the Chiefs are going to try to do here. And I think Bryce Hall is going to be that guy. It's just, so unpredictable, this draft. And that's one of the, the main reasons why I love it.
Yeah, and there's also a lot of people. Do you draft for need or do you draft best available? So like if you need a corner, but he's not he's not going to supposed to go that high, do you take him or do you take usually the best available player? So that concludes our first round mock draft. That was fun, Ed.
Absolutely, yeah. I always have a good time with this kind of stuff, especially good, doing it on YouTube now. I've always done one of my own. I always enter the NFL.com thing where you can, win $1 million or something like that if you get it right. And of course, every year something always goes awry. Like I never choose, I never try to predict trades because that never goes well for me, and it's just really tough to do. I always just try to choose who I think is going to go where. And it's always really exciting time for me. Except it's going to be interesting this year to see what the NFL draft is going to be like. Is it going to be, exactly. Like in his living room, just reading players off, or is it just going to be like the olden days where you'd see a scroll, down below, where the ESPN analysts are, and that's how you know who picks. But it should be really interesting to see under these circumstances what the NFL draft is going to be. And I think it's so now, since it's probably less exciting, I'm glad you're here to watch our video to, pepper it up a little bit. Yes. Okay, so you were listening to WDOM 91.3 Providence College Talking Sports podcast. And this is Eddie Amadeo and Peter DiBiasi signing out. Thank you all.
Thank you.